Alright, and welcome to our second segment of Bonus Damage Podcast. I'm Ethan, and with me is Sasquatch professional Jerry.
Hello. I'm very happy to be here. I feel exhausted.
You need to speak a bit more clearly, Jerry, just for the audience.
Oh. Well.
Maybe you're breaking up a little bit. Just so everyone knows, Jerry is calling in, almost as if this is a real radio show.
Sometimes I have to have they have a ghost whisperer. I need a drunk whisperer.
Yeah, it's very possible you may have been drinking already, but that's whatever. So, Jerry, you know what we're talking about tonight?
Enlighten me, my good sir.
Okay, tonight's topic is Bigfoot. I'm playing.
I would hope not.
We're not done with that topic yet.
We've exhausted Bigfoot. Look, I will have complete and utter faith in Bigfoot when I see and meet him.
You know what's really funny? This kind of leads.
Some jerky with him.
Jerky. This kind of leads into our segment for the night. We are actually talking about missing people in the national parks. If you're not aware, there is a few documentaries and books out there by what's his name, David Paulites. I'm sorry if I pronounced his last name wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. And he's made a series of books called The Missing 411. And I watched his past two movies that just came out. And Jerry, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of fucked me up. Like, I don't want to go to a national park. Jerry, you still alive?
Well, I feel like we should certainly brave the unknown.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
But, dude, okay. So, for everyone that's listening, just bear with me and my theory on this. But from what I'm hearing, yeah, a lot of the actual documents and paperwork say hypothermia as like the case for what's happening with these people. But realistically, if you look at it with an open mind, it sounds like motherfuckers going through alternate dimensions and occasionally popping in and out as they travel. And I was thinking you were gonna say something, Jerry, but my reason for
I'm listening because I have heard the interdimensional theory actually.
Okay, cool. Because a lot of things just don't add up to me. Like, I remember listening to this one story, and this lost person could clearly see a cabin that was at the bottom of a cliff, but they didn't make their way towards it at all. And the only thing that really makes me wonder why people, like, I don't know. There could be a lot of theories, like, just, I don't even know where to begin with this topic. But for those that don't know...
Exhaustion, being in a unfamiliar place, maybe they're not, none of us, most of us, aren't necessarily trained to be out in the wilderness like that.
Right, but see, this is why it's very important that you watch the 401 Hunted. I know you haven't yet, Jerry, so I'm going to be laying down a lot of facts on you tonight about that. But to think about actual hunters being in the woods and then like doing all these crazy things that they should know better to do is driving me a little crazy, because it's like, I'm a hunter myself. I haven't been hunting in a minute though, but I love hunting. I understand how to survive the wilderness, take care of myself. But the problem is listening to what's these more professional than myself hunters are doing while out there. Like, obviously, if you have hypothermia, you always keep all your clothes on. But why are these hunters that are way more skilled and educated than me taking their boots off and walking 6 miles away? Like, even I know with hypothermia, as hot as you may feel, you keep your crap on.
Yeah, no one sane just decides, yo, dog, I'm gonna take my fucking boots off. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, like no one takes their boots off and decides it's a good idea to walk 6 miles in snow or on rocks. No one does that, no matter how hot you are. And that does seem to be a common thing within these stories, is people taking their shoes off some way, somehow.
I'll take off all my clothes. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I will take off every article of clothing, but I'm gonna keep my shoes on. My boots, my shoes, whatever I have on my feet. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're outside.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no reason why, like, even in porn, that you can see today, some people keep their shoes on. But
so
you just don't take them off out in the wilderness. You know, that's just...
Yeah, no one in the wilderness takes their boots off. No one. You know? Unless you're like on a beach. So Jerry, let me bring up something else that's also weird about all these hunters that go missing.
Okay.
Their main firearm for hunting is never found.
Okay.
Their rifles, their bows are never found.
You know, the stuff that they're pretty fucking obsessed over, and the things that they pretty much hold as like a dear, like, firstborn child of theirs.
Just about. Dude, I remember my brother-in-law, dude, he lost his crossbow, and I felt very bad for him, and he went frantic over that. And I don't blame him. It's a $1,000 crossbow. You don't want to lose that shit. And he got a little upset when it just ended up fucking missing one day. Our belief was someone just got into his car and fucking took it. It happens. But yeah, you just don't, like, leave that shit lying around. And for some of the bodies to be discovered, and for all these searches, none of the firearms or bows have been found. And that's something wildlife doesn't just take off. It doesn't get blown off in the wind. It's a heavy piece of utility, you know? It's going to sit there on the ground till someone finds it. Yet, through all these cases, no one's found them.
Yeah, when we research cavemen, we find rocks that are pointing, right? And that
arrowheads, yeah.
Say, yeah, they're like, hey, this dude killed a goddamn mastodon with this shit. But we're not finding any sort of a gun, a bow.
If I remember correctly, I don't remember the exact story, but there was only one gun that was found, but it wasn't even his hunting gun. It was a pistol that was in a backpack, right? Wasn't a rifle, wasn't a bow.
Yeah.
Right? And that trips me up the most, is the fact that, like, if you even do find some of the remains, you're gonna find their equipment too, okay? It's not like they went and hid their weapon off in the wild, then found a new place to go die. Right? And that kind of leads me into the idea of alternate dimensions. Like, are they phasing in and out? Because a lot of the searches sound like, once again, if you haven't seen the 401 series or read the books, I recommend it too, because this is crazy. It makes you think twice about going to national parks. You know, if you're just skeptic, you know. But, like, it's just so weird that, you know, they'll scan a perimeter, right, and look for these people, and then when they go back to that area later, there will be a new item there, such as boots or a coffee thermos, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, as if, now bear with me, audience, imagine you're out hunting, and all of a sudden, like, things change around you. You don't know where you are anymore, but it still looks familiar, and you're just trying to work through that. Because it gets crazy. It really does. Actually, just to give you an idea why I think it could be alternate dimensions, let me talk about a story that I heard earlier in the first 411 Missing movie or documentary I watched. At the very end is when I heard, like, the creepiest thing throughout the entire series. Because the first documentary talks about a bunch of children that go missing. The creepiest story of them all was this group of people that went out looking for this toddler that went missing. Excuse me for not remembering the date or location. But the story goes, they were looking, they had their hounds out, and all of a sudden the hounds started going crazy. It was a misty day, they were already in the thick looking for this child. It was a toddler. And all of a sudden the hounds, they start showing signs of, like, hey, the target we're looking for is near. And then they start getting scared, okay? And out of the fog walks a toddler completely naked, okay? That trips me up. They've been looking for this kid for days, okay? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the hounds pick up a scent, and then they get scared, and all of a sudden, boom, there is a child, and the child's completely naked, just like all the other missing people that have been reported. And on top of that, it's only children that have been found alive.
So, alongside this is not only is that like pretty fucking spooky, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
fucking
spooky.
But this isn't your usual like, hey, I was kidnapped by the UFOs, man, and like they took me to the mothership.
Yeah.
Like this is somewhat documented, right?
This is very much documented. Like, we're talking, like, any article of clothing that is found isn't torn up from a wild animal. There's no blood on it. It's any tears that are on it are literally from it being left out in the elements. Yeah. So, like, that blows my mind. That, like, these people aren't being attacked by wildlife. Let's make that clear. They're not being attacked by bobcats. They're not being attacked by any crazed animal out there, okay? They are literally going missing, and for the most part, the only thing people usually find is like the part of a skull.
And you would almost think, with it being a national park, and if the child goes missing there, like there's some sort of bureaucratic paperwork, administrative system in place, right?
Ooh, but that's the thing, Jerry. I don't know if you're segueing into this, but you might be. But there's no records of missing people in parks. They don't keep them.
Really?
They do not keep
Really?
them. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, yeah, David Paulites, when he asked for them, they frickin' told him it would take $1.3 million for him to receive that information.
So how do we know specifically? I'm really into these conspiracies, but how am I to know that these are real compared to your usual, I don't know, from the middle of nowhere kinds of people that say they've been abducted by aliens, right?
Wait, say that again. Like, what's your question?
Well, I guess to give people something savory to grab on, like as far as like conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
What is to tell the people that these are actually real compared to your usual run-of-the-mill, I've been abducted by aliens in bumfuck Egypt.
Okay. So, for the most part, usually when a missing person happens, there's a big search for them. We always hear about those. We always hear about the searches going on, and those are actually documented. But the national parks do not keep a record of everyone that goes missing.
Okay, so it's more of like local news? Like
Yes. Yeah, local news is the best way to say we track all this.
So, me and my family, if I was to have a family,
Yeah.
if I was to have a family, we go to the national park, and I have a couple of kids, and one of them goes missing because I was just looking at my little spawn. He was just playing around in the grass, and I look over to my wife and say, yes, honey, I will cook up some hot dogs on the grill in a little bit. And I look back over, and my kid's just gone out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I start freaking out. And I start looking around and shouting his name. And for whatever reason, my kid, my firstborn, beautiful fucking
Real quick,
ginger
Jerry.
babies.
You're literally almost quoting the first movie. I can't remember the name, so once again, do yourself a favor and go watch this if you haven't. But I can't remember the names. But literally, that basically happened. There was a group of family that went out. They were camping, and the mom and dad went to go look at this special fishing spot, right? And the child said, "Yeah, I'll stay with Grandpa." So when he started walking back to Grandpa, at that point he was never seen again. And we can't. This may have been like. They could have been more than 20 feet away from the grandpa, the actual campsite that he was still at, okay? So, like, he goes back to the campsite, and the grandpa never saw him. Like, straight up, when they come back going, "Hey, where's Bourne Jr.?" They're all, I can't remember his name. He was like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know where he could be." They search for him, and they don't find anything. And we're talking, like, this is like not a very far distance. Like, even if a kid went missing, you would still find that kid if you searched frantically for them.
Right, there's only so far in a national park in a certain radius around your campsite. Like,
Right.
I get it that there's wild animals,
Right.
but there's only so far a kid, a child, under the age of 10 could get before a grown adult, at least, like you're yelling, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if that kid fell down and became unconscious, they would still be in the. I can't even talk right now. They should still be in the area for you to be able to locate the child. Like, even if they were on the ground, passed out, you should be able to look around and be like, "Oh, there they are," But they are just gone without a trace.
So what do you think about I have cheated a bit, and I do know some of the stories coming from your tales here.
My tales I have gotten from real stories.
It's certainly something that anyone and everyone should look into, because it is.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre to think that so many people can go missing in the national parks. And mind you, there's a pattern. Okay, they go missing. They end up miles away from where they should be, and that's if they are found. And when they are found, they're usually naked, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's hypothermia kicking in. They start getting a little delusional that they think they're hot, so they take off their clothing, and then there they are. But like, I remember hearing a story. This 75-year-old woman went missing, and when they found her body, she was still curled up in a fetal position. I almost said beetle. In a fetal position, as if she was cold. But then, if that's the case, why was she completely naked?
Yeah, and most of these people, from what I've heard or read, it's been a while since I've been into this conspiracy, but sometimes their clothes, the people's clothes, are stacked up somewhat
Yes.
close to them, like in a neat and orderly manner, right? Like, if someone's dying, are you really worried about, "Oh, I gotta fold my t-shirt. Oh, I
Right.
really like this shirt.
Oh
I
my God,
really
I'm so
like it.
hot.
I
I'm going to
gotta-"
take off my clothing and fold it neatly as I'm actually out here in the elements freezing my ass off.
Yeah, it makes. And since when are you actually freezing out in any sort of national park? I don't know. It's I've also heard, like, on a side note, it's less relevant, but apparently sometimes animals show up with, like, their heads cut off.
Whoa. That's a new one to me. Whoa.
Now, that's something 100% that I don't remember much of, but supposedly sometimes, now that's less, that's animal. Okay, look, I get it for everyone out there that might be an animals advocate, but in the grand scheme of things, in the view of most of the public eye, if an animal dies, it's certainly less inspiring than a person dying in a park, right? Like,
Right.
nature versus humans, I guess. Even though we are a part of nature, some people forget about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember the real sources, but supposedly, yeah, almost like they were being studied on. These animals would show up, but I think that's less compelling. That's just a little tidbit,
Right.
just a little extra spice of flavor, I guess, to the conspiracy surrounding these areas.
Now, Jerry, let me drop this bombshell on you real quick. So there is a pattern to the wilderness, if you will, when these people go missing. At the time of them going missing, wildlife cannot be seen at all. It's almost dead silence in the woods.
Really?
Yeah. And then, after they go missing, about a few days in, there's always inclement weather.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Like, usually a few days into the search, it'll start raining, or it'll start snowing, you name it. It gets a little rough to keep on doing the search, right? And then there's the idea that every time this happens, people go through, they do a grid formation for searching, but then when they go back and look again, it's as if there was something they overlooked. But you can't overlook things. Like, let's see, what's a popular story? There was a man that went hunting up in the mountains. I want to say Iowa? Can't quote me right now. I should have wrote this down. But he went up in the mountains in Iowa, and he was a professional hunter. Like, he got paid to take people up there, okay?
Right. Well skilled in the area. Well learned and shit.
Yeah. And I remember at one point in the story, like, his mule freaked out and he lost a lot of his crap. He kept going though, and like, he just went missing. And like, when they went looking for him, right, they couldn't find anything. And then they went to do another search again, and that's when they started finding things. Almost as if someone waited for them to look the first time to put it all down.
Huh.
Yeah, because like, he was on like this flat top of a cliff, right? That's where they found the boots, but not until the second time they searched. And when they kept looking, they kept finding more things too. This is all in the movie, the documentary 411 Hunted. Okay, and it's like, there's no way we did not find this the first time. It's so obviously there that, like, how did we miss it?
Huh. That's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. But here's how one of the first stories starts. Okay, because, you know, we could talk about children going missing, and a lot of people can just say it's disbelief. Maybe they got taken away by a wild animal, you know, because, like, mountain lions are known for, like, burying bodies so that way they can come back to it later and eat it. So, obviously, if you had a child and it was taken away by a mountain lion, it's probably buried already, so the mountain lion can have it again later.
But, specifically, real quick, just to interject.
Yeah.
From what I had always heard about these conspiracies, is the funny thing is, and it's so weird to argue with these because they're somewhat, like I said, they're somewhat documented, right? Like,
yeah.
There's somewhat, like, there's some press behind it, and I'm not trying to say, like, we should believe everything we're told, but there's enough stories.
Fake
enough
news!
Yeah, and as you said, apparently, a lot of times, there's a storm or some sort of bad weather that comes in after these occurrences.
Yes.
Which I can only imagine someone painstakingly connected. Similar to, you know, finding, you've seen it, Shia LaBeouf flag, right? the people of 4chan spent 2 days triangulating. I don't know if y'all know this or not.
I know what you're talking about, but for our audience sake, explain to them.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf was kind of rebelling against a upcoming presidential candidate, which I am neutral on that subject. I'm not even going to...
Yeah, we're not here for politics. You swing
Yeah,
however you want to
exactly.
swing.
But it is a funny thing to look up, if you will, because it shows the power of the people, in a sense, of 4chan. Whatever they may be, however you may define them, Godspeed, they took from one video feed and triangulated the position of a flag being flown in this feed through the stars, and then an airplane went by, and through the airplane, they went through using astrology and the positions of the stars to finding out what planes could have been. Look, this is CIA work to the utmost degree. Like anything
done by nerds on 4chan.
Yeah, and these are people with this isn't their job. They're doing it for fun.
Yeah.
You get that? They're doing it for fun. They found it. They finally found a quadrant, a small portion of the state of Tennessee where this flag could have been located. And so what do? They find out that the flag, the feed, has an audio quality as well. So they spend time honking horns. And anyways, they find the flag in 2 days. And that's a pretty freaking big feat, I think.
Was it Tennessee? I could have sworn this took place in England.
No, this is Tennessee for sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was in eastern Tennessee. Yeah.
Ooh, eastern Tennessee has a national park where a lot of people go missing.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf might be connected.
Ooh, Shia LaBeouf's taking everybody.
He was trying to lure the LaPeppies in there.
Okay, so Jerry, let me tell you about a story real quick. Let's see. Okay, so there was an older man by the name of Tom Meslick, okay?
Okay.
And him and about 5 to 6 other people all went out hunting, okay? Now, some of them play the roles of watchers, so they would tell everyone else where the deer were coming from. They all had radios, okay? And, so imagine you're out there, you're out there with your sons as well. This was Tom, okay? And, y'all get done hunting, and he's the only one that doesn't come back. And I'm not saying, like, they scattered very far, okay? They were actually very close to each other, okay? And he just goes missing, okay? Like, out of the blue. Not a trace is left behind. Nothing, okay? It's so weird that even the FBI eventually get involved. And here's the kicker. FBI do not handle missing persons cases.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. Especially when it comes to adults, okay? But they got involved with this one, and nothing was ever found. Nothing. And we're talking about experienced hunters. This man literally taught hunting classes to people. He lost an eye because, well, he didn't lose it. He got partially blind in his right eye because of gunpowder. But he taught people hunting classes and showed them this shit can happen to you if you're not careful. And he went missing. And nothing of his was ever found. Nothing. Nothing.
And it's just so, I don't know. I feel like these stories certainly, wouldn't you say these stories certainly hold a certain amount of weight compared to your usual UFO abduction?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Like, if you don't believe in anything like UFO, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, demons, I don't care. If you don't believe in anything, this is something you can get behind of. Because how does a person go missing around like 5 other people, okay, unless they were all in on it. Unless that was the case, which I highly doubt. Okay, because like I don't see a bunch of sons killing their own father along with that father's friends, okay? So like he literally just goes missing. But here's something else, Jerry. The father's closest friend, Tom, his closest friend, I can't remember his name. Once again, watch the documentary series. He talks about how he heard something very weird in the woods that day, something you wouldn't normally hear. And the way it was described as if like a giant metal door opened and shut quickly.
Boy.
Yes.
Dude, that rings a fucking bell, man. That rings a bell. Huh. Maybe it was like the for you nerds out there, you know, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, the doorway to like the other world or whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
And that kind of goes alongside with the idea of alternate dimensions. Like, are people literally getting lost in alternate dimensions? Because, Jerry, I told you earlier today before we talked that, like, there's a big theory that, like, people are losing items. Like, they'll drop something and they look down and it's just gone. I was on Reddit earlier today, or I was listening to Reddit on YouTube, if you will. I love Reddit, so I also love listening to it. And weird phenomena that happen. There's been stories about there was this guy and he had a potato that he got from school and he was at home tossing it in the air and it fell behind him and it was just gone. He looked behind him and it wasn't there. A potato that he dropped was gone, okay? He even packed up and moved. The entire room was empty and the potato was missing. He asked his family members, no one said anything. I mean, that's just something small. But the idea of something falling into an alternate dimension. There's even another story. A lot of people probably are listening to this. But like a guy was eating Hulk ice cream from an ice cream truck, right? And like he watched the Hulk ice cream fall off his stick and like it hit the ground. And when you look down and look at it, it was seriously just gone. I mean, that doesn't sound crazy, but it is when you really think about it. Like, the idea, like, things just disappearing. Because I know it's happened to me before. I wish I could recall. But I seriously, just in the past month, dropped something, and it was just fucking gone. I couldn't find it. It was literally gone, and I literally flipped over everything looking for it.
Well, it adds up, does it not? Like, the whole experience of these national forests and all their stories. Like, it's not one thing to hear your personal. Okay, so hold on. Basically, from me to you, in Tennessee, not to talk ourselves, but did you ever hear the story in high school about some sort of church that was somewhat close by to our town? Maybe a few towns.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh.
About the book.
Was it Walter Hill?
Something like that.
I think it's Walter Hill.
Yeah. The Bible, though, right?
The Bible that doesn't change pages, and if you take it out, it will pull itself back.
Yes, it gets heavier as you see. This is two people that have heard the same fucking shit in the same town about a town that we haven't even been to, right?
Yeah.
That's how these ghost stories spread. But we haven't experienced it. Other people somehow have spread it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Jerry, you and I, we once went on ghost hunting adventures, which we will get into later in another podcast. But like, that's something that came up. We considered going there. I'm pretty sure there's also another scary story there about a man on a railroad track with a lantern.
What?
Yes. It's the idea that like you think a train will be coming, but it's actually a ghost with a lantern walking the tracks. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but
I do remember something about that. Yeah, I was just in it for a good time back then. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait. Say that again.
I was in it for the atmosphere, not necessarily the finding of ghosts and creatures and goblins.
Okay, more about the atmosphere. Okay, yeah.
But, what was I even like?
You were talking about Walter Hill and the cursed Bible that's there, if you will, and how news travels.
Yeah, but I had something a little beforehand. Like I guess. What were you saying real quick before that?
Uh-oh. What was I saying? Huh. People going missing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
things going missing maybe. Um, hmm. Well, shit, fire. Look, people. I had a grand plan. Um, so okay.
But
So
it sounded like
essentially,
you were
they're
talking
small
about
towns.
how news travels. Like we've never even been in that town, but that's what we heard.
Yeah, that's what we've heard, and that's kind of how conspiracies and how ghost stories come to be. But it's interesting that there's so many stories coming out of isolated places, right? Like the national parks, for instance.
Yeah.
It on a completely original, and I know it's not going to be original because someone crazy has thought of it before. But wouldn't it be interesting taking it from the perspective of Teddy Roosevelt knowing? I don't know the whole landline. Do you understand landlines?
I don't
Or
think
ley
I do.
lines? Okay, ley lines is another somewhat mystical, more of your benign mystical conspiracy that Earth has magical railroads, so to speak, of like where the um the magical energy essentially that uh, travels across the surface of Earth, where they peak, I guess, where they transect and
Hang on, Jerry. We're getting some bad audio. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause the recording. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna fix some of this. Okay? All right, we're back. Sorry about that. When you drink and do a podcast, you end up going pee a lot. So, Jerry, continue what you were saying.
hey, you gotta stay hydrated, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so the only thing that I was trying to say is ley lines essentially in a magical Earth sense is, think of it like railroads all across the Earth, right?
Okay. But magical.
And magic. These are magical points on Earth that might give people with certain powers or wanting certain powers more powers if they're around it, near it, or on top of it, I suppose.
Okay.
But essentially, the only thing that I was going on about was, wouldn't it be cool to think that Teddy Roosevelt, our president, knew about these ley lines? And I don't know where I couldn't point to you on a map and tell you where these things are. But if they are somehow lined up and pretty strong on the national forest, the national parks of the United States, that would be a pretty big coincidence.
Wow, that would actually be crazy. You know, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I mean, it doesn't really relate to what I have to say, but I can see some correlation. Like okay, so
I'm just talking conspiracies,
yeah, this
Like
is all conspiracy. The only real facts are people missing in national parks.
Of course, of course.
But
I'm not trying to make a robber.
part of that is there's actually stories about, like, in some of these areas, floating lights and invisible entities that, hear me out, actually sound a lot like Bigfoot. Yes, I know. This is weird. But there's another campsite in a national park. I can't remember it. Once again, watch these documentaries. They will blow your mind. But there was these skilled hunters, okay? And I'm talking in the 70s. They were basically not attacked, but harassed by these things they couldn't see that actually sounded a lot like the typical Bigfoot sounds you would hear, okay? And when they took the
Okay.
recordings of these sounds to like an actual like professional, he straight told them this is something bigger than man. It's about 7 feet to 8 feet tall and has a very wide range of vocal cords. And I thought it was super funny how in our last podcast I talked about Bigfoot can't exist unless he's some weird alternate dimensional being that can travel through space and time.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild.
that is pretty wild. I just don't know what to think of that though. Because obviously this stuff, it's all a big mystery. No one knows the answers. But the idea that maybe there is an alternate dimension, and maybe people are falling through it, and that's why they're missing.
Yes. I have heard something along those lines, and I've also heard, I have to throw, me, I just have to like regurgitate and just spew out all the nasty, vile conspiracy theories that I've heard.
Putting it all on the table.
Along the same line, there's also Big G, Big Brother, the government,
Right.
that could be embedded in these national parks. Or maybe even that the big government, Big Brother, has allowed national parks to be somewhat of a alien or extra-dimensional / extraterrestrial hunting ground sort of thing.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. Like, maybe it's fair game here because people can go missing out of the blue all the time.
Yeah, like they've allowed it. Like, look, this is a wild part for nature on our side of the plane, our side of the world. But
Yep.
at the
Real
same
quick,
time,
audience, y'all hear
you
that?
have a foot.
Jerry is talking about actual national parks being hunting grounds, and this motherfucker wants to go camping there.
Yeah, dog.
Not till I get a gun, one that I can take out with me,
No, I'll have bear mace. Don't worry.
Bear mace. What's that gonna do against an invisible 8 foot tall Bigfoot from another dimension?
It might make it flinch.
Might make it flinch.
It'll give me enough chance to run away. I don't know about you, dude.
Oh, something else. Since we're on the kind of like that topic, another story I heard that kind of revolved around Bigfoot. Once again, watch the series if you haven't about the 401 Missing Hunted. But there was a woman. She went out hunting, and this is where it gets important. Her husband is an actual doctor. I don't know what end, but he has a PhD. He's a scientist. He knows his shit. Okay? And when she was hunting, she legit saw an invisible entity like in front of her in a tree. And then once like it knew she was looking at it, it decided to leave, and she could see it go from tree to tree leaving. And then shortly after that, in a high school not too far away, they encountered a giant light. You could say UFO, but I don't want to say UFO. It feels like it takes away from the story. Right? But they saw a giant light come through and interrupt their band recital, if you will, for a football game. And that kind of blows my mind to the point where like all these band members saw this light come through and then just disappear around the same time this woman saw this weird entity. She even tried taking a picture, and Jerry, this is where it gets really fucked up, okay? She took a picture. She goes home. She shows her husband, and here's the thing. I wrote it down. Where is it? Okay. The resolution of this picture was too small for the phone to actually render on its own. Let's let that sink in.
Run that by me one more time.
She took a picture of this invisible entity, right? And you know how phones have certain resolutions they can take pictures of, okay? Like the size of the photo, if you will.
Right.
This photo that she took came out way too small for the phone to even produce on its own.
So you're saying, okay, hold on. So you're saying I take my smartphone out into the jungle, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I see a snail on the side of a fallen log, right?
Uh-huh.
And I take the picture, and I'm expecting, like, I don't know, 1080 quality. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not a guru. I'm not a guru when it comes to qualities of photos and shit, but I'm expecting 1080.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah, somehow my phone ends up taking a photo that's like the quality of a goddamn like Atari
Yes.
from the 1980s.
Yes.
Like I'm looking at sprites, like barely digital blocks of color. You know.
I mean, not
Like,
just
it's
that,
just
but
not
like, imagine the photo itself was smaller as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that tripped
That's
me up.
wild.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I have no idea what could be going on. There's so many different stories of people going missing and different things happening. What else did I write down? Okay, sounds in the woods, turning forward. Oh, okay. Here's something else. So, the men that went hunting in the 80s and they heard, like, the sounds of a Bigfoot, right, but couldn't see anything, after it all happened, there was a eerie sound that sounded like a tuning fork coming right above them. And they say it lasted for about 10 minutes.
A tuning fork.
Yeah, the sound of one, which makes me think UFO, right?
Yeah, in a way, you think like that sort of pitch and sound.
And in that same area, they also saw moving lights come through and around them, just like the people did at the football field. The marching band. Sorry for dead air right now. But,
No.
yeah, we're all taking this all in right now.
But yeah, I have to absorb this kind of knowledge because, you know, honestly, when it comes to these kinds of conspiracies, you know, that I somewhat have faith behind, you know, like I do have some sort of maybe not a stake, but I have an interest, somewhat invested interest in these conspiracies because it's too far spread. It's not just one weird area where people go to be weird.
Yeah. It's all over America and the world.
Yes. It's weird. It is certainly that. I hate to use that word because it's overused, overplayed, but that's the very definition of it. There's weird stuff going on in these national parks.
Yes, absolutely. And, like, everyone should do themselves a favor and look into this themselves. Watch these documentaries. Listen to it on Coast to Coast, because he, dang it, I can't remember his name. David Paulites is on Coast to Coast a lot as a guest, and he has even more stories there about these people going missing. And just the way they end up. It's always the same thing. They go missing, they end up dropping articles of clothing, and they're found naked. But for the most part, they aren't found, or are the items found until the second search. It just...
Yeah.
It's weird.
Not only that, I really can't remember what exactly led me to this statistic. Maybe it was Coast to Coast. And I hate to use it, Coast to Coast. I hate to even say it. That's the dude that passed away recently, right? Ardell or something like that.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't follow Coast to Coast that closely.
Ah, man. In the conspiracy realm, we might get shit on for it.
I mean, give us a break. We're just now diving into it. This is our second podcast. Maybe we'll become professionals by episode 50.
Yeah, right. Like, there's a lot of... It's hard. Less is more in some ways, right?
Well, real quick, Jerry, not to interrupt, but like this specific case of the 411 missing, there's so many things going on. You can't pinpoint it on one thing. This isn't just Bigfoot, isn't just aliens, isn't just alternate dimensions, but the possibility of like all of it.
Right. Yeah. That's why it's so fucking so interesting, right? Like there's so much going on, but the fact...
And that's exactly why we're here talking about it now, because more people need to get involved on this. More people need to look into this and go, what the hell's going on in our national parks?
Well, Ethan, I have to... now that you bring that up, putting national parks aside for just a second, and I feel like this is in the parliament of our times, how do you feel about the people storming upon Area 51?
Oh my god, I can't believe that's trending today. Well, Bob Lazar, I think you're to blame for that in your current appearance on Joe Rogan.
Damn.
But, yeah, I mean, realistically, if 1,000, no, it'd have to be more than 1,000, because they would all just end up dead. If we all stormed Area 51, what could they do?
Yeah, even if, look, the people trying to discourage it, right? Like, the people saying, oh, well, they have guns that can shoot 1,000 rounds per second. You know, and I'm exaggerating 100%. But
1,000 rounds a second? Jesus Christ, we won every war already.
Yeah, I mean, might as well put that shit on blast, right?
Right.
There's at least going to be some smart folk in the back videotaping anything that happens and putting that shit on blast. Okay.
Yeah.
So, look, you have 400,000 people that pledged themselves to showing up to Area 51 on September 20th.
Is this a real thing? Did they actually sign? Are they actually going to do this?
Look, we don't know yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, I really thought this was just an internet hoax, and people were like, "Yeah, this is a good idea." But if there's actually people,
this is blossoming, I hope, into a beautiful, beautiful fucking thing. But I think that out of 400,000 people on Facebook, we can at least hope, maybe, like, if I had it my way, could get at least 10,000 people there. If you could get 10,000 people there, excuse me, out of 400,000, I think that would make a really big wave and change in America.
no, you're right. Like, you know, I mean, I can understand the government wants to keep its secrets from other countries, but at the same time, if 4,000 people run there and find aliens, you're gonna have some explaining to do.
Well, not only that, it kind of shows how social media has the power of gathering like-minded people together in an effort to kind of say fuck the government, right? Like, okay, look, it's not only about Area 51 holding alien secrets, right? Like, we all want to believe. We all really
the universe is too big for us to really be alone.
Right. We want to know all the secrets. You know, like, just give them out. But look, 10,000 people show up, and they're trying to dig out alien secrets, right?
Right.
The social media presence of saying 400,000 people are willing to run into machine guns, are willing to, like, be essentially labeled as maybe not terrorists or terrorizers, but
I like the term martyrs. You know, they're gonna put their lives on the line to reveal the truth.
Yes, and in a way, yeah, against what would be considered government or Big Brother or, in a sense, secret holding political powers, right? I think that's truly a beautiful thing in a democracy where we could finally like stand up somehow for something with, and I say this, with some sort of negative consequence at hand. This isn't standing up for, see, I hate to get all political. I was going to say like gay rights, and I'm sure people got beaten up for standing up for gays before, right? Like, but this is like a completely, I feel like it's a dumbass kind of sort of feel like I'm standing up for alien rights or some shit, but it's
Okay,
not.
so alien rights on Earth.
No, what I'm saying is people are willing to die. People are willing to, I guess, well, we haven't seen anything yet, but they're willing to stand up, organize, and willing to get shot to death to get some fucking aliens, right? Like, what else can the people do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what else can the people truly stand up for when faced with that sort of adversity?
Well,
And I guess
real quick, Jerry.
maybe it's,
Did you ever watch Star Trek?
I've watched some Star Trek, yeah.
Do you know what the prime objective is?
Yeah, don't fuck with lesser beings.
Right.
essentially.
So maybe this is the actual push the universe is waiting for us to make for aliens to reveal themselves. If you believe in that, you know what I mean?
Oh shit. Okay.
Like maybe
I've
us
seen
standing
movies.
up and going, "No, we want to know," is the push that they've been waiting for us to make as a society.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you. Maybe topple a little religion at the same time, you know, if we would.
Well,
find
I don't know if
out
it would
about,
topple religion. I mean, just because religions talk about Earth doesn't mean like other planets can't be involved. Just because Earth is the main star of the religions doesn't mean there isn't some lingering idea to it being able to create life on other planets.
You know, but God got real mad. God gets real mad in the Old Testament. He gets real mad. He gets stupid mad, dude.
Real quick, since we're talking about God, I just want to say Old Testament. I first off, the Bible in general is written by man, so it's been screwed up in a way where we don't know what's what anymore. So it's possible that just because God created Earth doesn't mean He didn't create life on other planets. You know?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, though.
Right. So like maybe He just gave us the manual for Earth and gave manuals to other planets for what they could use. So it's possible Jesus was reincarnated on another planet to be a Messiah for them. But so yeah. So it could shake up religion, maybe not so much. It just depends on how open-minded you are.
What if we're like conspiracy? What if we're like the children of the universe, you know, and religion's got it all wrong? Maybe that's why God, our Lord and Father, the Old Testament was so abusive towards, you know, like he had already had some other children out there that were in the ever-expanding universe, right? That's pretty much nigh infinite. And when I say infinite, people, I mean it has been quoted that there are as many stars in the sky as there are grains in the sand of all of the earth species. So when you really put that in fucking perspective, you think maybe there's something else out there, right?
I mean, the universe is just too big. It's just too big for it all to revolve around creating life on this one particular planet and nowhere else.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fucking crazy for it not to, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess there's the possibility, and that maybe we are supposed to be the flagship of the universe and putting life on other planets, but
I
that
hope not.
right? I mean, that just sounds so crazy. It sounds so lonely. I mean, we already know bacteria lives on other planets, so what's stopping bacteria from eventually evolving and turning into life?
Dude, no, when you have a porn site that's like more willing to like better the future of humanity, you know you got some fucking problems in your ethnics. You know Pornhub is dedicating like fucking channels to like supporting the bees and supporting like nature, like every view is a tree kind of thing.
I need to get on Pornhub
Like,
more often.
dude, Pornhub is like going lengths and miles to save this goddamn planet, and
That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing, and I love them.
Wow.
If you're listening,
Sponsor.
Sponsor, dude. But if not, it's okay. I understand. But at the same time, I still love y'all's work. Keep doing what you do. Especially and specifically, Angela White. You were just amazing.
Oh, okay, Jerry, you're done. You're done. So back on track. The missing people.
Right.
Yeah. So when Mr. Tom Mislick went missing, his friend said there wasn't a door opening, and I could see that maybe that's the sound of a portal. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the sound of him falling into an alternate dimension and being there. And maybe something about this alternate dimension causes people to want to drop their items, Maybe they want to drop their items, and when they do, those items do end up in our dimension again.
Yeah. I mean, I would almost want to take the flabbergasted route of being so shocked you drop what's in your hand, right? But at the same time, you couldn't account for that being most in everyone, right? Like, you couldn't, like, there...
I mean, real quick, Jerry, you brought something to my mind. If I did end up in an alternate dimension, do you know what I would hang on closest to?
A weapon.
A weapon.
Yeah, like fucking Master Chief up in there.
You're right. This is not going to leave my side because I'm in a new territory now.
Yeah, you don't know what the fuck's going on, but hey, you might be seeing spirals and fucking stars spiraling around you. What are you doing?
This dimension could look like a straight DMT trip.
Yeah, you're holding on to that weapon like it's your next savior.
It's your comfort blanket.
Yeah, that's it, dude. That's it. I mean, wherever you're going. Oh, speaking of, I need to research, there's real quick, there's a game now, that apparently you're, like, in hell, and you're, like, nothing at the beginning of it, and you don't have any weapons, really. You just have, like, you choose between, like, self and, like, harming other creatures.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen. I was hoping at that point you could.
I don't know this game. Is it a platformer?
No.
Then no, I do not know this game. I'm not been too big into games recently. I've heard a few great indie games coming out that are platformers. That's why I ask. But no, this game isn't ringing any bells.
Man, I wish I knew the name of it. I'm sure someone somewhere will gladly spill the beans on that. But yeah, essentially you wash up on the shores of like this like dimension of hell, trying to get out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the whole scene and setting is creepy, but at first it starts out as like stealthy, but as you go through and find your route, you eventually start getting level up, and you can go towards more like, I guess, exercising and stealth compared to like kind of evil and just like destroying. But the whole time you're kind of getting like you're hearing like a succubus or some like loveless demon in hell that's like seducing you, seducing you, or some level of that. But,
Okay.
100% not related to this topic, but it sounds. I'd buy it. Just see what it's
I mean,
about.
think about it. Let's say that's the dimension that everyone's falling into. I would still hang on to my weapon very closely.
Yes.
Even if it had no ammo, it would still make me feel better.
Yeah, I would. Dude, I don't care if the demon's got like 9-inch nails. I'm beating that bitch in the face with the butt of a rifle. You know?
Right? So that's interesting to think about.
Dude.
Man.
So what else you got on our national parks that we're going to be camping in soon?
Oh, what do I got? Let's see. Let me look at my notes that are horribly written because I did this earlier today half-assly. Ooh, wow. Ooh,
wow. That's the beginning of every fucking horror story.
Right? Let's just start by saying there's 1,200 cases of people missing, and all their stories sound very close to this. Of people just missing. Yeah.
1,200.
In America alone.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy to think.
That's not like, we've all kind of heard about the certain forests of like Japan or China. I believe it's more Japan.
Are you talking? It is Japan. Are you talking about the suicide forest?
I am.
Thanks a lot, Jake Paul.
Yeah, right. He brought it to everyone's attention one way or another.
Like, we already knew it, but he's the asshole that went in there with the camera. Like, we know what goes on in there, you dumbass. Like, why are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Jake Paul. And if you're listening to this, boxing match, me and you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Truly. He is. If that's how y'all get your entertainment, hey, you do you. But
like, don't get me wrong, Jerry. If you and I ever want to walk through the suicide forest, that would be fun. But we wouldn't record it, and if we did, it would be purely audio, just so like y'all could kind of get some interaction with us and hear us scream like little bitches.
Yeah, I'm gonna be scared.
But we would never take a camera in there just for the idea that like people do kill themselves in there, and you gotta respect like what's left of them,
Yeah, it doesn't sit well with me to record visually a dead body. I mean, even audio, like running across one, you say your prayers and you deal with that situation as it comes, but you don't put that they went there for a reason, dude.
They knew they were gonna get a reaction.
But they went there. No, well, I'm talking about I'm not gonna say victims, but the people that knew, the natives of the area, of the region, went there to perform a certain task, right? Whether it's morally or immorally.
Yeah, like, it's actually a common thing that, like, if you take a walk in that woods, more than likely you are going to find someone that killed themselves. So, like, when you go there in the camera, we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a dead body on footage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it upsets me so much. That's why it upset everyone else so much. You know? And all he could say is, oh, I was just trying to make good entertainment. I wasn't trying to, like, do anything. Bullshit, motherfucker. You knew what you were doing. We're completely off track, though. But, like, where were you going with the Suicide Woods? Or Forest?
That's a really good question. If only we had our own person to rewind.
Right? Jamie. What did we just talk about?
Yeah, right. If only. If only.
Right? One day, Jerry, one day we will have enough people actually watching this. We will have our own Jamie, and we'll be calling him a wizard.
And we'll still call him Jamie. I feel like that's the thing, though. Like, it doesn't matter what that dude's name is.
We need someone to apply for the position of Jamie.
That title is a Jamie. And,
what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a Jamie for this podcast on Bonus Damage. Oh, nice going, man.
Yeah, oh shit, that's cool. Dude, that guy has to make, like, more than each of us combined in a year.
Dude, first off, just think about it. How cool it... Sorry, we're off topic from our original content. But how cool would it be to, like, hang out with Joe Rogan and all the celebrities he brings on there?
It's what I dream of every day.
It's what I dream of every day. Jerry, one day we will be there. One day you and I will actually be in a legit office, not over the phone, and we will actually be talking to people. And some of them might be on the phone. But, no, that would be legit.
No, it'd be on Skype or, like, some sort of 3D call at that point in life.
Right. Oh, man. But, so yeah, let's get back into it. So yeah, just in America alone, there's been over 1,200 cases of people just disappearing in the national parks. And these are, like, public lands, okay? You can literally walk there. But, you know what? Let's dive into some research I did before we even started talking about this. What really intrigued me. Excuse me. There are some common trends, like, people not having their cell phones on them when they go missing. Okay. Let's see. I remember one case. I can't remember his name. Mr. Paulites. He was on Coast to Coast and he was talking about how there was a scene where a woman crashed her car off a road, okay? And she crashed through a fence. They investigate that and there's no one there at all. So, they tow the car, and they get someone out there to fix the fence. Well, the man that went out there, who was contracted to fix the fence, found her body and her clothing. Okay? And we're talking like, there was a sheriff out there earlier looking around the area and only found the car and nothing else within at least 500 feet. So, once again, this kind of fits the pattern of, once it's been searched already, that's when more evidence is put down, as if like they know we're looking and they want to wait till we're gone to put shit back.
Yeah, that is quite odd.
And here's the thing: she didn't have a cell phone, and she was there with her child, who is still a toddler. Okay, and when the contractor for the fence found her, she was literally, like, oh, I'm not going to say hanging in the air, but Jerry and everyone else listening, you know how big a car seat is, right?
Right.
Now imagine you are going to lay on top of that car seat. How tall off the ground are you going to be? About 1.5 feet, maybe 2?
Well, is the car seat on the ground?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna be, like, fully stretched out by, like, look, a car seat's only, like, hold on. It's only, like, 2 feet as far as butt goes, right? Like, seating position.
Right. Real quick, Jerry. Let's imagine you're the sheriff. You go out there. Do you think you would see a naked woman hunched over a car seat with a baby in it in the middle, not even in the middle, but like not even 500 feet away from the car?
I mean, it depends on the severity of the situation. You said just a woman away from the car with a car seat, hunched over it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, maybe she got the baby out of the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for audience sake, yes, both individuals were found dead, both the lady and her child. But when the sheriff went out there the first time, he only saw the car, and maybe I think 500 feet is a huge exaggeration. It could have been 25. I can't remember. Once again, listen to Coast to Coast. Shout out, though you're bigger than me. But yeah, that was something to it. Like, the sheriff went out there and only saw the car and saw no evidence of anything else. But when the contractor for the fence went out there, he legit was like, oh, there's a body out here still. And she was literally naked, clothes still nearby, but like not on her, obviously. And she was like hunched over the car seat with the infant still in it. And now, that can't be hypothermia. It just can't be hypothermia. A woman's not going to get out of her car.
How can it not be hypothermia, though, Ethan? Just lead me through it. Lead me through how it can't be hypothermia.
Okay, so real quick.
Ethan, there's clearly a logical explanation for all of this.
You're right, Jerry. What am I thinking? Okay, so, real quick, let's talk about hypothermia. Hypothermia is when you're so cold, you start to die. And your body sends you signals about your organs literally dying. And that makes you feel hot. That's supposed to make you feel hot. It's supposed to try to keep you warm. But see, what happens is when you have hypothermia, you're freezing. But you start feeling hot. So that's what leads to people taking off their clothing, okay? I trust me, I'm a hunter. I went through hunter safety course. They teach you all this. Even if you get soaking wet, do not take off your clothes. It's more protection than the actual bare naked ass of the elements, okay? So, you don't take off your clothes. And though this was a lady, it still does. I mean, she could be completely illiterate when it comes to hunting, okay? Maybe she was a pro. I don't know. But you don't leave your car with your baby to the exposed elements to freeze to death, okay? If I crash my car off the side of the road, I'm going to leave my child in it and try to flag down help. I'm not going to pull my fucking child out.
Oh, you can't say that.
I mean, you're right. I can't say that. I've not been in that position. But I'm also not going to be lying in a field butt-ass naked looking for help. I'm going to be on the side of the road. Like the road I crashed off of.
Okay, hold on. If you get into a car wreck, how do your clothes just like magically, how do your clothes just like come off?
Well, Jerry, anywhere I go, my clothes magically come off.
Okay. Well,
but no, realistically, you're right. Clothes just don't come off.
I'm working outside. It's 100% out and like 98 humidity. And when I'm taking off my clothes, when I'm taking off my shirt, let me tell you, I have to do a little dance, little shake. I go side to side because to get my clothes off, it takes work without ripping them, right? Because,
yeah.
All my clothes on my top half and bottom half, but my top half specifically are stuck to me, so I have to really put in effort.
Well, I imagine for these people to be going through hypothermia, they have to be cold. So I don't imagine it was like summertime. I imagine all these cases really happen when it's cold out, near the winter time. So when she crashed her car, let's imagine it's already like, let's say it's 30 degrees outside, below freezing, okay? So she crashes her car.
Right.
Are you going to run through a field for help with your baby? Or are you going to go on the road trying to flag down help? And even then, are you really going to die so far from your car? Like, if I remember correctly, it wasn't 500 feet. It was more like 25 feet. Okay, 25 feet away from your car and just straight up dead makes no sense to me, especially in like such a short period of time.
Yeah. I'm sure you. Where was this? If you remember.
Oh, I do not remember. I'm sorry, audience. One day we will redo all these podcasts and we will have legit facts for you and we will lay them down thick and hard just for you.
Well, that's the part of conspiracies. You know, like we're not trying to mislead people on. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we're not trying to
Earth,
mislead at all. We're
flat Earth.
just talking about things that are already public knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, whether you believe in round Earth or flat Earth, I mean, round Earth is clearly maybe a team that you would hopefully be supporting at this time.
But Jerry, maybe we're a flat Earth to the fourth dimension.
You know what? That's a really cool thought, but at the same time, I'm just trying to say maybe people should really think and search for themselves and not believe everything that they find on YouTube. Not even
Right? I mean, realistically,
wise words.
has
You
anyone
should
seen the
research
cartoon?
it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jerry. But everyone saw the cartoon with Bugs Bunny throwing the baseball around the world, right?
Yeah.
It came back with all sorts of tags on it, therefore proving the world is round. Thanks,
Even
Bugs
back
Bunny.
then.
But no.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the idea where flat Earth is appealing, but thanks to NASA and our astronauts, we know better than that. Don't tell me it's fake, because Photoshop didn't even exist back then. And don't tell me the government had it. Because the government, if we know anything about them, are not artists. Alright, Jerry, real quick. I think now's a good time for a pause, and we'll be right back, alright?
Oh, well, okay. While we're on a pause,